Hello, my name is Aaron Fronda, Managing Editor at the CFO. I would like to welcome you to the first of this two-part series where we will be discussing how the use of new technology can help revolutionise the finance function. In this video, we will specifically be focusing on company growth and how having the right tools and systems in place can be instrumental when it comes to financial leaders driving growth in the current economic environment. I'm very pleased to be joined by Fabiana Fattore, Senior Solutions Consultant at Sage, who knows the importance of why finance teams need to understand their business in real time to make better strategic decisions. Thank you for joining me, Fabiana, and welcome.
Hi, Aaron. Thank you for having me.
That's all right, no worries. So I just thought we could jump right in. Obviously, post-pandemic, many organizations find themselves with an opportunity to grow their business. For organizations looking to provide more employees with user access to their financial systems, they will likely have to upgrade their software. So what should they look for in a software provider?
So a lot of organizations during the pandemic began to realize that their current solutions weren't viable anymore. And this could have been either due to having on-premise solutions or simply outgrown their current solution. So as a result, many organizations that I speak to on a regular basis are asking for the likes of cloud-based solutions, which would give them access anywhere, anytime, and remove the need for large IT teams. They're also looking for scalability. So they don't want to keep changing their finance system every few years. So they want a system that they can grow with. Gain better insight into their data. So looking for that real-time information, which is very key to every organization. And automation, where they're trying to streamline their current business processes.
And for those companies that are maybe looking to go one step further and perhaps grow beyond borders, are there any specifics that they should be aware of when making these all-important tech decisions, basically?
So there are several areas that companies need to think about when expanding beyond the UK. So there's a number of questions that they need to ask themselves. How are they going to consolidate their global entities? Do they require multi-currency? How will they handle local taxations? Will they need to hire local bookkeepers within those countries to help with local taxes? Do they need local language? Will the local compliance that is required, will they need specific reports? And will they need any local banks within that country as well?
Okay, so thanks for outlining obviously some of the capabilities that CFOs should look for in a software provider. Obviously, Sage has its own product on the market, Sage Intacct. How can this solution help businesses unlock areas of growth which maybe have otherwise been limited to them?
So Sage Intacct is a multi-entity, multi-currency, multi-dimensional solution, providing continuous global consolidations. So what we offer is multi-tax solutions for companies that are looking to expand into other countries. And we have out-of-the-box solutions for tax, such as for the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and South Africa. And we also have the ability to customize tax solutions, giving organizations the flexibility to manage tax differences across the globe. With this provides organizations with one view for their reporting and consolidations. And we also partner with Avalara for the US and the US sales and use tax, where we have a native integration. So having the tax information centralized means that organizations can take advantage of Sage Intacct's custom reporting tools to get the tax information that they need to file taxes outside of the system with their local accountants. Sage Intacct also supports thousands of banks covering multiple countries with direct bank feeds. And this provides daily cash insight and saves organizations lots of time during the month-end close. And when it comes to handling multi-currencies, Sage Intacct automates the currency conversions and eliminations alongside its highly configurable, intuitive multi-dimensional reporting, which gives organizations that detailed real-time insight.
Thanks for outlining kind of some of the key functionality of Sage Intacct. So moving along just quite quickly now, but many will argue that the key to business growth is understanding an organization in real time. So Fabiana, is there a risk for businesses who are looking to grow at scale being able to forecast and realistically budget? And if yes, why might this be?
A lot of organizations that I speak to today are using or are heavily reliant on Excel, and that can be to not only create their reports, manipulate the data, but also capture their budgets and forecasts. And in most cases, this means that they're not linked to their actual figures, so they're always going to be somewhat out of date. And this will be a time-consuming task at the moment, can become very messy, especially if they're a fast-growing business. And this can also be prone to errors. And also the spreadsheets could be easily broken by members making changes on the fly. So having all of this information held outside of the finance system means it's also not real time. So they're always looking at a snapshot of the information rather than real time there and then. They can see the most up-to-date information.
And obviously, businesses in the UK and around the world are obviously struggling with talent shortages at the moment, and finance teams are no different. Is there a way for finance teams to address these issues without adding to their team headcount? Obviously, your own platform, Sage Intacct, would it help businesses in this regard, struggling with basically with talent shortages and obviously not wanting to add too much in the way of headcount?
Yeah, so what we're finding is a lot of emerging talent are looking for these cloud-based solutions, systems that can automate a lot of the manual processes that and that heavy reliance on Excel and spreadsheets. So when they're coming to us and finding out what it is we have to offer, those are the types of solutions that they're looking for, and especially if they're that company that is fast growing and has outgrown their current solution, which might be a cloud solution, but it's the smaller breed of cloud solutions. So Sage Intacct is that mid-market solution that can not only attract talent to companies, but also help companies have smaller finance teams, because they can get things done much faster. They've got better reporting, better streamline of business processes, and then the likes of a CFO or finance director, they can then focus on business insight, the dashboards, reporting, and KPI metrics, all those sorts of things. So they can save a lot. They can spend their time on making better business decisions, and then other members of the team can spend that more time on the transactional day-to-day input of the information. Going back to the how also Intacct can help with the likes of loading in budgets, forecasts. Intacct has a variety of ways of bringing in that information into the system, whether it's via import templates or keying in the information, and they can track that spend against budget, and also then be able to report on their budgetary information versus actual right within the system. So it's all held within the system, not outside. So it's not siloed information anymore. And they're going to get better use out of that information, and also with the likes of dashboard reporting as well.
Awesome. Thank you for outlining obviously like the key pain points for senior finance leaders and their teams, and also Sage Intacct's functionality for us today. So Fabiana, I wondered if you could sort of answer this question for me. So what are the major challenges CFOs and their finance teams face when it comes to implementing new technologies, and also how does Sage Intacct make that implementation process more streamlined?
So quite often, what I hear from companies, CFOs and finance teams, is that they're looking to us for guidance and that trusted advisor approach. So when it comes to implementation, especially if they're quite a new team or they haven't done a finance implementation before, they look to us and our implementation team to give them that advice as to how do they go about moving off their old system, how do they migrate that information over. And we've got hundreds and thousands of customers that have come off various different other finance systems. So we've got a lot of experience in advising them as to how much information to bring over, how can we help them streamline their business processes. They're often asking us to try and advise them on the business process to fit the new system that they're going for with Sage Intacct. How does Sage Intacct follow a purchase to pay process, for example? They don't necessarily want to do it the old way that they've been doing before in their current system. They are quite open to taking our advice and taking on new ways of following that business process. It goes back to my point around streamlining, automating their business processes to save their finance members' time. The likes of the CFO doesn't want to have to keep keying in information, checking over things all the time. They want to be able to look at data, look at metrics, and make those better business decisions, and know that their finance team have got a system in place in order for them to get that insight, that data that they need to report to their board and or external stakeholders of the business or investors that they've got looking into their organisation. So that's how here at Sage we work, and how we can help advise them on that. And when it comes to integrations as well, often it's not just the finance system that an organisation may have. They might have other tools within their portfolio. It could be a CRM system, it could be a point of sale system, and again they're looking to us to advise them on how do we integrate, or how do we bring that information over into the finance system. And Sage Intacct has a number of ways of bringing information into the system from other tools. Whether we've already got a native integration, that can be often the case, or if we don't, we have other ways of bringing that information over to Sage Intacct. So again, it goes back to organizations trusting us and us giving them that advice and following that trusted advisor approach.
And obviously that sort of built that trusted advisor approach is built over a long period of time. So you've obviously got a truly kind of partnership relationship with the clients that you service.
Yeah. So even when they've gone live with Sage Intacct, they'll have a customer success manager who will be with them on that journey post go live. And also it might be that from day one they didn't necessarily need some functionality within the system, or like we've spoken about before, when they're looking to grow into other countries, it may then come to a point where they now need to bring on new entities, new countries, new tax solutions, maybe even take on multi-currency, because they didn't need that straight away. And that's where we've got a team within Sage to advise them, help them, and then bring in the likes of, say, myself, to then show them how that capability works. They may have forgotten from original demonstrations, and then they can then grow with us on their journey of growth with Sage Intacct, and it being sort of the last finance system that they look to implement, and that's the approach that we're going for with Sage Intacct, is that full customer journey from the start right up to beyond and into the future to grow with them.
And yeah, Fabian, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing your insights on how technology is revolutioning the finance function with our subscribers. Sadly, that is all we have time for. For those eager to watch more video content like this, or simply looking to access information on the latest emerging trends impacting senior finance leaders, please visit the CFO online and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.